So we've been reading 2 days of Mark Nepo every Sunday, and it's been wonderful. And we will continue with that as a tradition started by Eric. I'm sorry, I'm using this for my bookmark, but somebody left it up there, must have been for the candles. Oh boy. This is yesterday, February 24th, behind the urgency. When feeling urgent, you must slow down. I learned this over and over during the many crises of cancer. Unless someone is bleeding or can't breathe, unless there is some true physical requirement to act swiftly, a sense of urgency is a terrible illusion. A trick that happens again and again. Because life inside our skin and outside our skin are forever different. It is as hard as it is humbling. When feeling like I can't sit still, I need more than ever to sit still. When feeling like I will die if I don't have your approval, I need more than ever to die to my need for your approval. When feeling like I can't sit still, I need more than ever to sit still. When feeling like I will die if I don't have your approval, I need more than ever to die my need for your approval. I'd say that again. What we need is always harshly and beautifully right before us, disguised as the wrapping of our nearest urgency. I like this guy. We just refuse to accept this because it feels so difficult to face. The doorway to our next step of growth is always behind the urgency of now. Now more than ever, when all feels urgent, you must cut the strings to all events. Now more than ever, when the weights you carry seem tied to your wrist, you must not run or fail. Is this thing up too high?
This is picking up your breath. That's what it is.
I don't have the thing on it right. Okay.
It's got no
What's that?
screen on it, so it's
Yeah, the screen. All right.
alternate.
I think it's too high. I'm gonna put it so my breath doesn't affect it so much because it's distracting me too. Let's try this. I'll see how that works. Now more than ever, when the weights you carry seem tied to your wrist, you must not run or flail. Now more than ever, when each decision feels like the end, you must believe that each question is a beginning. Now more than ever, when you fear that being who you are is a knife to those you love, you must be strong inside where no one has seen you, for loving from there can only make those you love grow. Now more than ever, when feeling that you are the source and recipient of all pain, you must bow your head to the ancient channel from the sky. You must bow your head to the ancient channel from the sky to the heart can reopen. Do you remember that you are a blessed piece of spirit dust in a spirit wind? Now more than ever, you must breathe till your ounce of breath becomes the sky again and again. In this way, pray to know your place in the human family like you've never known it. In this way, pray to have your true self inch through your turmoil. In this way, love yourself the way you love the emptiness of time. Love yourself the way you love your children or your dog or your dearest friend without reservation. In this way, today with all its hardships will spill into tomorrow and decisions will become as clear as streams flowing. The meditation goes into yourself and feel the urgencies that pull at you. Feel the tension of each like a string stretched taut. With each breath, untie yourself one urgency at a time. However briefly, breathe freely, even for a moment, untied to any urgency at all. February 25th is called Cutting a Path. No matter where we dig or climb, we come upon the fire we left untended. Carl Jung had a dream that he was cutting a path in the woods, unsure where it was leading, but working hard at it nonetheless. Tired and sweating, he came upon a cabin in a clearing. He dropped his tools and approached the cabin. Through the window, he saw a being in prayer at a simple altar. The door was open and Jung went in. As he drew closer, he realized that the being in prayer was himself, and that his life of cutting a path was this being's dream. What Jung brings us to is the never-ending task of deciding to whom we must entrust our life, our true or false self. For the seriousness for which we run about the world, fixing, denying, projecting, and sacrificing, for all the schemes and strategies and alliances and positioning for the reward, it is all an unreal dream at the center of our being that waits for us far inside while we hack our way through. Without knowing it, we, like Jung, work hard at cutting a path to our deeper self that waits patiently for us to arrive, all tired, aching, and out of breath. Once that path is cleared, and once the being at our center is discovered, we can return to the world in relationship with our soul. We can discover a deeper, more peaceful sense of home. Be still and close your eyes. And as you meditate, journey inwardly to the cabin where your soul awaits. Drop all you are carrying at the door. Drop all that waits to be done or redone. As you breathe, enter the cabin and wait with open arms at the center of your being to realize you are there. And as you breathe, feel your soul embrace you, embrace back, and savor the moment.
Thank you. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and all you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you can sing along if you'd like. You are the voice of spirit on earth, and all you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and all we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and all I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. One more time. And all I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. All right, thank you.
Great choice too, John. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What would it feel like? What would it be like to know you're a blessing to the world? How would your life be different if you knew you're a blessing to the world? Would you strut about claiming your blessingness? Or would you be scared people might think you think something of yourself and you shrink away and make sure nobody thought? You know how they say when you're a child, who do you think you are? Oh, you think you're special? And whenever they say that, you're supposed to shrink and say, no, I don't think I'm special at all. You want to check right there, Doc. Yeah, I had a word war about fiction earlier. Now you haven't. What? It's contagious. Check the clothes, people. Oh man, think about it. Can anybody tell me what your life would be like if you knew you were a blessing? What would be different? If you were absolutely positive that everywhere you went, people got blessed, how would we change? No takers, huh? You seemed quick. Well, if you know you're a blessing, you can act from the knowledge. If you don't know you're a blessing, You can't act from that knowledge. You might be the blessing and not even know. It's that movie about the wonderful life. That guy was a blessing to all these people. He never knew it. He thought he had a miserable life. When he played in the newsreel of his life, he said, oh my God, I'm somebody important. People love me. They really love me. I know for a fact that it's difficult for me to accept love because it's easier to walk through life not expecting anything and not being disappointed. You hear what I said? Let me say, sometimes it's easier to walk through life not expecting anything, and therefore you're never disappointed if nothing happens. But people, expectation and intention, it's coming to me, they're the same thing. I've never heard this before. I want to say they're peas in a pod, but no, they're the same thing. What you expect is what you're anticipating. What you intend is what you're anticipating. So your expectations and your intentions are one and the same. And if you expect bad things to happen, then you intend to have a life with bad things happening in it. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's get in with our affirmation. Never doubt that a small group and thoughtful committed citizens and thoughtful committed citizens can make a difference in the world. Indeed, that's all that ever has. This is the difference-making business, a difference-making conscience, is walking around realizing that right where I am and just as I am, the power and the presence and the divine reigns supreme because I'm not separate from the divine. And I'm not separate from the divine because the divine, or God, infinite presence, absolute mind, however you approach this, in Gaia, Mother Nature, is the essence, the substance, and the fabric of all creation. All creation rises from the same source. I am of that source. Dr. Holmes reminds us in the What We Believe statement, and I love this one, that the manifest universe is the body of God. And if the manifest universe is a body of God and I'm an aspect of the universe, then that means that aspect that considers itself me is also the body of God. And that I am literally a walking, talking, living, breathing expression of the divine. I'm a divine thought in the mind of God. Each of us is a thought in the mind of God. None of us would exist without a thought in the mind of God. In the field of pure potentiality, if you prefer a more quantum expression, we are a potentiality that is already existing, because in the field of pure potentiality, everything exists simultaneously and at the same time. Yes? It's something to think about, but more than that, it's something to surrender to. Because thinking about us gets us to the door. Thinking about us helps us knock on the door. We know there's something inside. We're thinking about it. We've figured it out. We've got it all strung together. Logically, we can prove it. Okay, this is where I need to be. But in order to be there, I have to stop thinking about it as something that's possible and live that possibility in my own being. That means I have to ask myself, well, what would it look like if I was this? How would I be if I was successful? Dick Gregory tells a story about when he was a boy. He said, we were poor. He said, we were broke, not poor. Just broke, not poor, I think is the name of his book. And he talked about being poor and nothing to do. And he would dress himself up as if he had somewhere to go and walk downtown as if he was going somewhere and act as if he had something to do. It was in that process that helped him develop the persona that allowed him to get up stage. And he began telling jokes and became an activist, and now he's just one of the sages of our time. I remember Mark Victor Hansen? Yes. He tells a story about applying for a job as a longshoreman. Everybody knows longshoremen make good money, but they work hard. Most people aren't willing to work as hard as the money they make. Mark Victor Hansen went down there. He's used to working indoors in a suit. He showed up at the longshoreman's call wearing his suit. Everybody laughed. First of all, that suit's not going to last very long. And if you wear this suit, you don't know what you're doing. This isn't going to work for you. He was a laughing stock of everybody in the room. And when they came to hire people, they hired him and they said, you're working in the office. Because he was dressed for it. Because he expected that to happen. It was his intention. There's an old joke about religious scientists when they say there was a serious drought. And it was drought for so long that they called all the holy people together from every walk of life to pray for rain. Say, you guys keep talking about the power of prayer. We need rain bad. So if you get together, we should be able to produce some rain here, or none of this stuff is worth anything. So that's it. They took on the challenge. All the holy people from all over the world gathered together. When the religious scientists showed up, he had on galoshes, a raincoat, and an umbrella. It was 102 degrees outside. They said, what the hell's wrong with you? Don't you realize how hot it is? You could have a stroke. I'm going to say, and she said, when we pray, we expect results. If you're praying for rain and you don't have an umbrella, do you really expect it to be rain? If you're praying for money, but you expect to be broke, are you really going to get it? You're praying for friends, but you can't stop being miserable to your own self. You can't forgive yourself. You're miserable to your own being. How are you going to make friends? Curiosity is the theme for the month. I'm likening curiosity and imagination to the same thing. We imagine things and it makes us curious. We're curious, and that's why we imagine things. What I know is these things are tumbled together and inseparable. And Einstein tells us that the imagination is the most powerful thing we have. He's a scientist, but without his imagination, he could not think and do all the things that he did. Are you feeling me so far? So in this theme, curiosity as a superpower, yeah, that's what makes us great. We've been curious. I was on my way here. I took a lift. I met a man. Please let me say this country right, and you guys can correct me. It's one of the stands, and I'm not good with the stands. Kyrgyzstan. What's the one I'm trying to say? Is that it? Kyrgyzstan, I think. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I got it. People know how I am with names. And I'm talking to him about who we are and what we do, and he begins to tell me his story. And he's an immigrant, came over here with a green card from horrible conditions. And because he was an immigrant, he got in school and he was qualified for certain loans and grants and blah, blah. He went, got his degree, working as an analyst. Now he's driving Uber. And he talked about how he's having his dream right now. Everything he wanted back then, he now has. He worked, he clawed, he strived, he did everything, but he had an expectation he was going to get out of there, you see? You with me? And now he's here. And he's not happy. Nothing he does, even his favorite occupation, video games and soccer, he's still not happy. And he's not happy because at once he was comparing himself to the people in his village and how to get past that and how to be more than that, which he's done. But now he's comparing himself to the people in America and he doesn't think he has enough. And he's miserable. Sound like anybody we know? Because we have a disease. Steve Kerr said it best. He's the coach of the Golden State Warriors, still world champions for the nation. Got to get that in there. He says, what happens when you win a championship? You get the disease of more. You win another championship. You get that championship, you win another championship. There's something called I want more. And wanting more is not bad, no matter what you've been told. You're supposed to want more. You're wired to want more. Who you are and what you are is expansive and unlimited, and it's always thinking beyond whatever the current conditions are to something greater than this, because there's something in us that knows I am more than this. And that thing will not leave us alone. It just keeps messing with us. No matter we go, no matter how good it gets, there's more to me than this. There's more to me than flesh and bone. There's more to me. Anybody know what it means? No, there's more. See, there's more to us. You know, it's Black History Month. Haven't really talked about it. I usually just wear my colors because that's my expression. My name is Mwanta Rasuli. You have to speak an African language to even address me. Let it be known I'm not from here. I have a consciousness that's not evolved necessarily just from here. I have a history that didn't begin with slavery. I like to make that known and wear my colors, and that's just the way I do it because it helps me feel secure and better. But I have to admit, I was in a different place than my neighborhood over the weekend, and some of the places I walked in, they just looked at me. No acknowledgement, no nod, just deadpan. Is enough to make you feel uncomfortable if you're not celebrating who you are. This is about celebrating who you are. It's about knowing who you are enough that when it looks like things are falling apart, glory to God. When it looks like things are falling apart, what's happening? They're falling together, people. They're falling together. The reason life is falling apart is because there's something inside of you that wants more. And you can't have more and keep the same thing that you already have. Now, I remember when I was working on the Presidio, I was finishing ministerial school and I wanted to be a full-time minister, but I had a great job. Man, I don't want to quit this job. I'm making good money. I've got good benefits. I work right out here where the Chrissy Field is now, at Golden Gate. I worked, that was my office. Okay, I had a truck. I drove around. I fixed things in people's homes. They were always glad to see me because I was the guy who came to fix their stuff. Man, I'm loving this. I can't quit this job, God. I have a life calling me. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm afraid to let go of the job I have, the life I have. I've been in a lot of situations I couldn't wait to let go of what I had because it was so abysmal that I knew I got to get out of here. And so I'd come from so many different iterations of life to get to where I'm at. I'm finally at a place where I'm like, man, I can deal with this. I can live with this. But even though it was comfortable and I felt I could retire here and do that stuff, something's calling me. Jamie Lewis got that song says, something's calling me a little bit deeper than it's ever been there before. You know what I'm talking about? It's not going to leave you alone because you're greater than you're giving yourself credit for. And it's calling you to be the greater being. And the only way we can do it is we have to celebrate ourselves. We have to accept the fact that there's nothing wrong with us. Couldn't you never say, there's nothing wrong with you? You can say, I already know there's nothing wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with you either. So why are we laughing? See, because it's awakening something inside of us that knows it's true, and it makes us giggle because it's a joyful place. It's a silly place. It's a happy place. It's not serious, run down, beat down, angry, and frustrated. I tell you, here's a good experiment for you. Put a mirror in your house right when you open the door from work and look at your face when you come through that door. I have to admit, some days I get out of work, I look, oh! And the guy in the mirror's like, what are you looking at? Because I get steeped in the road rage and the crazy people, and it's like I think I gave them their driver's license. I know how they're supposed to be able to drive it, and now I'm worried about all these different things. You get home, you've got the grit and grime of the road on you, and it takes a moment. We had to learn. My sister knew. I didn't get it till I was grown. Dad would always do more for her than anybody else because she understood. Don't ask Dad anything when he first comes home. Give him up 30 minutes to an hour to sit down, pour a drink, listen to his music, and chill. And everything he told us no, he would tell her yes. We need chill time, people, is all I'm saying. That's what meditation is for. That's what spiritual activities are for. That's what things that bring you joy are for, to enrich and enliven your soul. And going back to the piece about Black, this whole thing started by a guy named Dr. Carter Woodson, who realized that the quote unquote Negro knew very little about himself. There's a lot of people, Black people online right now talking about, I can deserve more than a month, and talking about it. I'm every day, a month is not, blah, blah, blah. I said, you don't understand the history, how this came to be. There used to be nothing. You ungrateful swine. That's what I call myself now because I'm getting in touch with just how ungrateful I can be. And he said, if there was 1 week where we could talk about who we are and what we are and what we do, he established Negro History Week. And of course, then it became Negro History Month, and there was Black History Month, and some people call it African American History Month. And next thing you know, different groups from all over the world are now getting their own different months. And now months are overlapping because there's so many months dedicated to so many things that it could be any group of months at any time. But somebody said, what I am and who I am is important enough to celebrate. Mother's Day, a woman wanted to commemorate her mother. One woman decided, I'm going to do something for my mother, and it got big, it caught fire. Now Mother's Day all over the world is happening because one person had an idea of more and went with it. I go back to Mothers Against Drug Driving. One woman decided this is not cool. I'm not standing. What's the line from Network? I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Let your anger be righteous. Make right use of the law. When I say let your anger be righteous, make right use of the law while you're angry. You know, you don't have to calm down to pray. You don't have to calm down with gratitude and be grateful. You can take the passion of your rage and channel it into gratitude, channel it into forgiveness. It's passion if there's no judgment on it. Could we turn this? It's getting hot up here. Very, very hot. This song was written in the 1920s, and life for Black people around that time wasn't real good because, you know, this is when they started erecting all the statues for the Confederacy. Jim Crow laws were in effect because, you know what, you might be free, but we're not going to stop. And James Roland Johnson wrote a song we now call the Negro National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing a song. This is when it gets complicated for people. If you hear people singing the Negro National Anthem right about here, they start to mumble, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to check it. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun till a new day is done. Let us march on till victory is won. I'm telling you, this was a poem actually for Lincoln's birthday celebration, and it just caught fire. Now, I mean, when African Americans gather, especially old school African Americans, when that song is played, we stand up because we're acknowledging this uplifted us. In the midst of our misery, somebody said, lift every voice and sing. Celebrate yourself right where you are and just as you are. And begin anew. Because it really doesn't matter what anyone says about us. What matters is what we're saying about ourselves. And if someone is saying something about us that's not true and we know it's not true, then it has no effect on us, yes? If somebody says something about you that you know absolutely isn't true, there's no even acknowledge it. It might even be laughable. But when we feel it in here, it's because there's a doubt in here that there might be something to this. There's some fear about it. And it's just like Mark Neppo said, instead of me trying to, the thing about I would die without your approval, let my need for your approval die. And when we know who we are, when we know what we are, we do not need approval and we don't need to approve. We understand what it takes to just be grateful for the moment. I talk to the young man and say, look, be grateful for where you are right now, because when you are grateful for what we have, then expands the parameters of what we can now receive. We have not because we ask not. And when we ask amiss. And asking amiss is about asking as if you don't have it. And when we don't know who we are, it looks like what we want is out there, not realizing that the thing that we desire is the call of the soul projected outward as we live our lives, projected into the environment as we're living our lives. We're literally creating our experience as we go, and that which we experience is being projected back to us. It's our mirror. And when we hear the echo, we think it's somebody talking over there. It's like the dog barking at his echo. Can you imagine? There's more to us than flesh and bone. We want to learn to celebrate who we are. What time is it? A couple of things here. There's a lot of different ways to go with this. I love the idea that Curiosity is superpower. Einstein says the important thing is to not stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Brother Ishmael's got a beautiful expression. Whenever you're going through anything, he's African mystic, one of my mentors and brothers. No matter what you're going through, the first question he's going to ask you is always the same. What is the learning? How are you growing from this? What are you learning from this? Because life is not happening to us. It's happening through us. We are creating it. Everybody here has reinvented themselves once or twice already. We've already changed who we are because circumstances dictated that we do. We know that we can be different, have different, show different, live different. And we reach that plateau like the Lyft driver when it looks like, okay, I want more and I don't know how to get more. And he's, well, you know, he's got there's a virus called competition. And he's competing with those outside of himself. Many athletes compete against other athletes, but great athletes only have one competition, and that's themselves. Great athletes are working on perfecting their technique because you can't do anything about what the other person's doing. All you can do is work on yourself. All you've got is yourself. The entire universe is an aspect of who you are. So if we want to change the universe, we have to change ourselves. And if we can think we can change the universe by not changing ourselves, there's a lot of frustration there. We know people in relationships we think are bad for them, but they stay in them anyway because they don't know it's bad for them. And maybe it's not bad for them. It's just bad for us because we disapprove, and vice versa. I'm going to go to some Celebrate Yourself by Eric Butterworth. I'm getting so much value out of this book. And somebody gave it to me. I found it. I'm like, wow. It has been said when the ties that bind the mind are broken and a person is introduced to his real self that has no limitations, the bells of heaven ring for joy. He says, this is what Jesus meant when he says the good pleasure to give us the kingdom. It could be said and should be that you are the universe celebrating itself as you. Consider yourself a blossom in a field of flowers. Just as bright, just as ornamental, just as beautiful. One wonders why many of us seem to be intelligent persons one wonders why many of us who seem to be intelligent persons let thoughts that corrode our minds blind us to the sheer thrill of living. What are the thoughts that corrode our minds? I can tell you one thought right now. One word, don't. Don't is a virus. Every time, and but is a virus. Everything we say after but cancels everything we said before that. Don't, do not is a restriction. Do not, it's a restriction. Talking about I might, maybe, living out of the first person present tense, trying to futurize things or live in the past. That's not how we celebrate. We can't celebrate in the past. We can only celebrate right now. We can't celebrate in the future. We're not going to celebrate right now. We can only live right now. Even when we worry about things that are going to happen, we're in the present tense worrying about it. And we have angst about what happened in the past. It's happening to us right now. Eric Tolle's got that beautiful book, The Power of Now. If you haven't read it, get it, read it. It's a must read. Right where you are, and just as you are, the power and the presence of the divine is operating in you and through you, and as you are one with the universe, no less than anybody else. There's no more God in any pope or holy person or spiritual divinity than there is in you right now. The only difference is what we're doing with it. The only difference is how we're organizing this potential within ourselves. And what helps us organize it is the recognition that we have it, that we are it, which starts with gratitude, people. Gratitude is a cornerstone of consciousness. And, you know, and I'm working on this because I have discovered how ungrateful I am. So I'm just imagining if you're in the room listening to me right now, there might be a smidgen of ingratitude in everybody here. And what I know is when we work on our gratitude, what happens is we increase that which we're grateful for because we give it the energy, the love, the power of the universe into it. It's flowing through us. And when we love, when we give ourselves to something, we're allowing the divine, which is us, to flow through us and into that thing, not into that thing like it's not there already, but because we acknowledge it, it begins to resonate in our own consciousness as real now, because we're giving it license to be there. We're giving it license to be there. Am I making sense? I hope so. Celebrate yourself. Be curious about what your potential is. He asked the question, what am I willing to sacrifice to get a full taste of life? That's a question. I mean, if you had it before you where you could have a full taste, like whatever your dream life is, what are you willing to let go of to have that thing? Because I can tell you, if you're not in your dream life right now and you're looking for a dream life, that means everything that's in your life right now has to change. So if your life is chaotic and it looks like you're losing things and people are moving away from you and it looks like it's hard times, it's because you decided you wanted something different. Take ownership for where you are. Stop blaming the outside circumstances. You know what? This is happening exactly as I planned it. Well, I don't know about that, Rev, because I wouldn't have planned. No, you didn't plan all the details. When I had that job on the Presidio, it was time for me to be a full-time minister. I was afraid I wouldn't survive. I used to sing a song said, push me, Lord, I'm afraid to jump. First, it was an affirmation, push me. Be careful what you ask for. Push me. But I knew I wasn't jumping. I know me. I'm secure. I'm happy. It's a good job. I got everything. Oh, man, I'm not leaving this job. You're going to have to do something. I'm not leaving. You can push me. I'm not jumping. You can push me. I'm not jumping. They shut down the entire Presidio. Everybody lost their job. Everybody run up to personnel to get new, go up to personnel. We're going to find you. It's a government job. We're going to find you somewhere to go. I didn't even go look. I knew what happened. Russell, you're going to, have you been? No, I'm not even going. I felt like Jonah, throw me overboard and it'll all be okay. I said, I'm in prayer. I'm saying, gee, Lord God, you didn't have to fire everybody. I said, push me. You didn't have to fire everybody. I'm not kidding. The voice said, you wouldn't let go of the branch. So I chopped down the tree. I'm thinking I'll just get some unemployment then. But see, I'm trying to be a full-time minister. That's my intention. That's my expectation. They got questions. Are you looking for work? Damn, no. Would you take work if we gave? No. All these questions about to get these benefits, the answer is no. Now, if I'm going to be a minister, I can't be out of integrity to get these benefits. So now I'm out of work and I'm broke. Okay. See, that would seem like a bad thing, but I know why I'm out of work and I'm broke. Because I'm supposed to be doing something else. Not supposed to. I expect to be doing something else. I intend to be doing something else. I set it up to be doing something else, and something else is now here. And I began to build slowly back, slowly back, slowly back. And you know what? I didn't know I was coming here. I didn't know this was for me. It was too big a vision for me to see. If you can't see your vision and you can't see your purpose, maybe it's too big for you. Maybe the imagination you're using right now has got handcuffs on it based on the conditioning of your life, and you can't even imagine how great you can be. But you don't have to see the top of the stairs to take the first step. The first step I had is I acknowledged I'm willing to go, but I'm going to need to be pushed. Now you say, well, did God really push you? Did God really? I say, it's easy to make up a story about whatever you want. What I know is I lost my job along with everybody else. And here I am. Sometimes you have what I like to call necessary losses. Sometimes you have to lose to win. Sometimes you have to lose by letting go of what's not working, even if it looks like the only thing you've got. You feeling me so far? What would it look like? Anybody got an idea? What's the same question I asked earlier today? What would it look like? What would you be willing to give up? The only gospel you'll ever have is the one according to you. No word spoken by anybody else. All the saints, all the sages. That's the gospel you read. The gospel you live is the one that's the most important. So how are we living? It's about learning to celebrate every day. Knowing that every celebration, this is one that's easy to do. If you're out to dinner, you hear people singing happy birthday. Here's an easy one to do. Anybody can do this. Sometimes we're annoyed, oh God, there's another birthday song. I just want to eat my dinner. I don't need to hear all this. But you know, I like to celebrate with that person. And I sing along with it. Because what I know is every celebration is celebrating me. Every celebration, even the people who have celebrations against me are celebrations for me. Because guess what? You're thinking about me. Muhammad Ali used to say, I know a lot of people come to see me lose. I don't care if they come to see me lose. Just come see me. Because he knows cha-ching. If you come to see me, I'm getting paid. If you don't have haters, you ain't doing it right. I didn't make that one up. Somebody said that, right? No? Anyway. It means that somebody's looking at your life thinking it's worth hating about. Even if your life is miserable and talking about how miserable your life is, it's because they feel their life is so miserable that they have to talk about how miserable your life is. And when you hear people talking about how miserable you must be, you can smile and realize, damn, you feel even worse than this. I don't know, for some reason it gives me small comfort when I know that when they do that, I just get a little smile and say, see, I didn't know how bad off you were until you start talking smack to me. Now I know how miserable you are, and for some reason, I feel better. Come up with whatever thing you can do to celebrate yourself. Find a way to make use of what's happening in your life right now and let it be whole, let it be perfect, let it be complete. Stop competing with anything besides yourself. And don't even compete with yourself. Just cooperate with what's coming. I was willing to cooperate. I knew I needed to go find another job. I just didn't know how to let go of the job that I want. When things are being firmly wrenched from your fingers, maybe it's time to let go. It's obviously time to let go because it wouldn't have happened. There's something the Quran says that says what befell you must be for you. Because if it wasn't for you, it couldn't befell you. You learn to accept life on life's terms. You know, in the rooms we talk about learning to accept life on life's terms. That's what it's all about. But what are life's terms? Life just is, people. Life just is. I know we're getting there, John, but I'm working on something here. There's a story from Richard S. Bach's Illusions, and I shared it with the gentleman today, about a group of creatures. It's like a prologue before the book. It's handwritten. It's crazy because I've looked in the book and not seen it before. Like I just made the whole thing up, but then I look again and it's there. So I'm having some kind of dimension out of focus experience with this. But there are these creatures that cling to the bottom of the river and the rocks at the bottom, and they make their living. They not make it, but they find food by whatever floats down by the current. And they're afraid to let go of the rocks at the bottom because they're afraid the current will dash them against the same rocks and they'll drown and they'll die or they'll starve. So this is how they live. This is how life is in the colony. Curiosity, imagination. One of these creatures imagined he could live, she could live without clinging to the bottom of the rocks. And of course, he talked to all the old people. And you know what the old people tell him? You got to stay in your lane, son. That's not what we do. You can't do that. No, you're going to die. You're going to this. I'm sorry, but old people have a tendency to be an old person. I understand it now. All we know is what worked for us when we were you. That may not work for you right now, but I'm an expert at work for me when I was you. So I'm going to tell you what worked for me when I was you, even though what's going on with you has nothing to do with what was happening with me. And I can make you wrong for not listening. Shame you. He finally lets go. And of course, he gets dashed across the rocks. He almost drowns. He almost starves, but he stays in the game. He stays in the game. He stays with it. And eventually he finds his equilibrium. He finds his balance. And he realizes he can swim to the food he needs. And he's going downstream and he comes upon another colony of creatures just like him. And when they looked up and saw another of their kind, not clinging to the rocks at the bottom, successfully navigating the currents of the river, apparently without no visible means of support, they bowed down and they worshiped him. And that's our nature. we see the greatness outside of ourselves and don't know it's our own self being reflected back to us. Every great person you saw, every great thing you ever know, the only reason you know it's great is because it resonates. That's a great place inside of you. Other people can see the exact same thing and not know its value. Just like there are people looking at greatness right now that has no value to me because I have no point of reference. It's not valuable to me. But when we acknowledge greatness, is because something inside of us that is great is recognize a vibration of greatness. And so when we allow ourselves to celebrate all of the time, whatever it is, weddings, bar mitzvahs, funerals, I'm just going to celebrate my life. I'm going to get up. My brother had to go and wee me. Just get up and wee me. Everybody can do that one because you're happy about yourself at some level. But you got to be willing to be silly. You got to be willing to dance when people are looking, not just when they're not looking. You have to be willing to make a fool of yourself to be yourself, because it's the fear of being ridiculed, the fear of making a fool of yourself, the fear of rejection that shrunk our greatness to what's the size of the Grinch's heart. But we know his heart open, because that's the nature of the heart. And no matter how hard we've shrunk it, it's still opening every single time. So think about something that's worth celebrating about you. Think about one thing that's good about you. If you can't think of a whole day, just think about one incident when you did something well. And if you can't think of that, then make it your determination to leave here today, or even before you leave here today, to do something wonderful with yourself. Just by being yourself. Because your celebration is necessary for your growth. Your celebration is necessary for your evolution. Your celebration is necessary for your joy. Your celebration is necessary. It's quiet in here, man. That's okay. I'm just going to imagine you're contemplating that which it is to celebrate today. And there's a lot of choices, deep choices. One way to celebrate is find something to forgive today. Let go of something today. You know what the problem with unforgiveness is? Most of the time the people don't even care we're upset. And that makes me even madder. At least you could suffer because I'm upset. But I'm upset and they're just going about la-di-da-di-da. Like they don't even know. You look at them, you look right at you, hey, how you doing? Because they're not going to let my upset be their upset. I'm talking to a guy in bacon trading one time, looked like we were going to get into a fight. And I didn't want to fight. I said, dude, I don't want to talk right now because I'm getting mad. Never forget this. The guy was about like this too. He just stepped to me and said, get mad. Nobody cares if you get mad. That's on you. I'm not afraid of you being mad. I learned a valuable lesson that day. Anger, unforgiveness, attitude is a choice. It's a choice. I can be as miserable as I want and no one can stop me. I can be as much rageful as I want and no one can stop me. The only person who can stop me is myself. The only thing that can bless me is myself. I made the mistake of saying to my wife one day, she was talking about what attitude she was having. I said, well, that's a choice. Didn't go over well. But it was true. And sometimes you have to stand in the truth, even when it's going to make people even angrier or hurt their feelings. And it's not like she doesn't give it back. We're both perfecting one another. That's what's happening in my relationship. I've got somebody who's perfect for my spiritual growth. That's what I ask for. Well, that means we have challenges because I want to grow. I keep wondering, why aren't we getting along better? Because you said you want to grow, Mwata, which means every time you find a comfort zone, you're going to expand it and be beyond the comfort zone. So you're not going to be comfortable. Now, is that what you want or is that not what you want? Well, damn, yeah, that's what I want. Then shut up and be grateful. You see? Because if you don't, you can choose again, people. You can choose a different experience. You can have a different experience if you decide to be different in the same experience you're having now. I must have repeated myself several times by now, but only because repetition is how we grow and how we learn. Namaste.
Stay.
Man. Hmm. 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 Till earth and heaven ring. It's time we do our offering right now. And the offering is about another demonstration of consciousness. This is not a shame our conversation. It's not a spiritual necessity conversation. It's about a growth conversation because we're all working on prosperity. And the law of circulation is an immutable law. And the law of circulation is reciprocity all over again. What goes around comes around, is done unto us as we believe. If we want more, we give more. You know, you get in, you get out what you put in. All these different things teach about reciprocity. And, you know, if you want a friend, you have to be a friend. All of these things are true. This is all reciprocity. This is about affirming our prosperous yield by what I'm willing to give. There's no shame. There's no blame. It's all about a personal choice. I normally give this. I'm going to increase because I'm looking to increase my prosperity. If I'm shrinking, it's because I'm shrinking my prosperity. Be conscious of what we're doing and participate in the activity of giving and receiving, because you literally have to receive in order to give. Meaning you have to accept the fact that you've been given something, and that you have enough that you can give back. And it's a decision we make every day, every moment. See, do I have enough to give back or not? Do I want to live in a world where I don't have enough to give back or not? And I've decided, you know, I'm done with that world. And I always have something to give. And I make sure I try to have some coins in my pocket. So when I see people, I can at least give them a nickel or a quarter. Some people look at me like I'm crazy. Well, you know what? If you're hungry, then that's going to go a long way. And if you don't want my quarter, I'll keep it for myself because I could use it. It's just about consciousness, people. That's what I want us to know. It's just about consciousness, the giving and receiving. So our affirmation, repeat after me, says, from a consciousness of abundance,
From a consciousness of
and
abundance
centered in gratitude,
and centered in gratitude,
I generously give.
I generously give.
I accept the gifts
I accept the gifts
of
prosperity,
prosperity and abundance
prosperity and abundance,
as I demonstrate divine circulation in my life.
as I demonstrate divine circulation in my life.
In gratitude, I freely receive.
In gratitude, I freely receive.
In full acceptance. So in gratitude, I freely give.
I freely give.
In full acceptance, I fully receive.
What?
Thank you.
I am remembering
Who
who I am.
I am remembering who I am remembering. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering.
So give at SFCSL,
Yes, give it
Zelle, and well, PayPal and Zelle. So it's give
at
at
sfcsl.org. Give it as, yes, thank you, John. Yeah, I'm working on learning that affirmation. I feel like we've done it so many times. I should know it by now. And obviously, I need a little more work. So this time, next service, I'm doing it without looking. That's a challenge. I want y'all to check me. And I'm going to allow myself to be ridiculed on film if I don't do it, because that's too important. And so we're coming to our time of prayer. And the prayer we have is a prayer, not one of beseeching and begging God to come and fix our miserable lives or to pay those people back for the things they've done to me. Now, I got to tell you, I've been in churches that do that. And I'm not saying these prayers aren't effective, because I've seen prayer work on every level. People wouldn't pray if it didn't work. Okay, every level where there's prayer, it works. I knew a woman had a radio show. She came on after me back when I had my first radio program. She was Baptist and she could pray. She could pray. I would rush home to get home to hear her pray. I was listening to her one Saturday. And a young man called up and he had a headache. And she prayed for him. And she said, is your headache okay? He said, yeah, I feel all right. She said, you feel all right? Honey, do you still have a headache? He said, yes. So she prayed again. She came out of prayer. She asked him, how do you feel now, son? Does your head still hurt? He said, yes, it does. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was driving down Martin Luther King Boulevard. I think I had a Renault car with the top all the way back. It's a sunny day. I'm having myself a good time and just driving. It's Saturday afternoon. She said, I'm not the only one who hears this child's cry. Every prayer warrior, every prayer person in the sound of my voice that's heard this voice cries, his faith is on the line right now. I don't care who you are and how you pray. Let's pray for this child. I pulled my car to the side and I began to do my spiritual mind treatment. And remember, when we pray, we expect results. But I know I wasn't the only one. She had a pretty big, I don't know how big her audience was, but I'm imagining everybody who knows how to pray joined in on that prayer. And when we finished, she asked him, how's your head now? He said, I feel great. I feel pretty good. And I'm thinking to myself, I know dang well you do. You just had all the Bay Area praying for you at the same time. Anytime you get that many people focused on one thing at that man. But just know that right where you are and just as you are, your prayer makes a difference. Because you're a unique frequency in the mind of God. You're a note in God's symphony. And the symphony is not complete without you. And so your healing is the divine harmony of that wonderful sound. My healing, each of us, is a note in the divine orchestra, divine symphony. So we go into prayer right now. We recognize that there's one life, one mind, one power, one presence, that there's one eternal giving nature, and it's living and breathing in heaven. It's being in us and through us and as us, that right where we are and just as we are literally walking, talking, living, breathing expressions of the divine, and we are the blessing wherever we go. We bless all beings everywhere. All circumstances, all situations are blessed because we are one with the blessing. So we show up as the blessing. Because God is all there is. I'm one with God. Each of us is one with the infinite, indwelling, and self-existent one. Right where we are and just as we are, every breath and every heartbeat circulates divine consciousness, divine energy in every cell of our being, coursing through every aspect of our body, radiating out into the aura. The aura, our own aura, but beyond our own aura and into infinite potentiality. We are our own star, our own galaxy, our own ecosystem, our own representation of the divine is happening right here and right now with every breath and every heartbeat. Because I know this, I can speak my word knowing that every request is answered right now. Whatever your prayer request is, I know the universe is saying yes right now. Whoever it is that's seeking a healing right now, the universe, the divine, the infinite mind, absolute conscious intelligence, God, Gaia, Mother Nature, this energy, this power, this being says yes all the time. Yes, right here. Yes, right now. Yes, yes, yes. We're stepping into our grandest glory with every breath, with every heartbeat. We're stepping into our grandest glory, not our greatest yet to be. Our grandest glory in the here and now is happening with every breath and every heartbeat. And we're surrendering everything unlike ourselves. Oh, right here, right now, we're letting go and letting God, allowing the divine presence to flow through us unfettered. To open the aperture of our heart in such a fashion that we stream love and consciousness in every aspect of who and what we are. We allow the light to guide us, to reflect ourselves back to us. We see ourselves in the face of every person, every place, and every circumstance. We bow to that radiant recognition of who we are. Every place we go, in every circumstance, we say yes to the divine because we know we're in a reciprocal relationship and it's already saying yes to us. And we join the party as the party and celebrate every breath, every heartbeat as divinity in action, divinity as my life, divinity as my being. What's true for me is true for each and every one. All of our relationships are unconditionally loving as we allow the blessing that we are to soothe and heal all transgressions. Ali, Ali, outs and free. We let all the captives in our mind free and free up the space in our mind for more blessings, more power, more energy, more joy, more love. Yes, get out, get out, get out. Ah. And there's space for peace now. There's space for joy now. There's space for celebration now. All of our needs are met, our expectations exceeded, our joys fulfilled. We draw our good from the inexhaustible source, the ever-flowing all beingness of the divine. It's our nature. It animates us and flows through us in such a way that all of our needs are met, all of our expectations exceeded, all of our joys are fulfilled, all the days of our lives, and we give thanks and praise for them even before they happen. Because the universe goes ahead of us, preparing that which we need. Even before we know we need it, glory to God, we accept, I accept. This is my truth right here, right now. From this moment forward, every breath I'm breathing is breathing this thought deeper into my consciousness, allowing it to heal my body from the inside out. Every cell is radiant, resplendent with its own divine glory, reproducing and replicating itself in its own perfection. Was true for me, is true for all of us. The body is designed to heal, and the love of God, the influx of divine flow, allows it to do so unfettered. And we say yes to the healing that's happening right now. We say yes to the healing of all beings everywhere, knowing that the yes I'm giving all beings everywhere exponentializes what I'm giving myself. And I let go. I let go of God, and I allow it to be, knowing that it always has been so. It can only be so right here and now, and therefore it's always so, because it's so right now. And so it is.
So it is.